Marshawn is a fresh of breath air. He just loved chain restaurants. Matter of fact, he ate at Applebee's 12 times during the 5 week.
I love each and most of you guys.
That really is still swollen, isn't it? It kind of looks like a football, actually.
Thank you for that.
Stitching, you got it.
Thank you.
Well,
Hey, D, I like donuts, baby. Let's go.
Stay focused. Work hard in school. You might not like school, but make sure you're working hard at school.
Them bills are bomb. Them bills are bomb.
It's your boy DM3, and you're listening to the Witty, Not Funny Sports Podcast on the Built in Buffalo Podcast Network.
Witty Nation, welcome to Witty Not Funny Sports Live, the first ever episode, the number one self-rated Buffalo sports show covering the Bills, Sabres, entertainment, and everything in between. And as always, part of the Built in Buffalo network. Go follow us on Twitter at WittySports716, right at the bottom there. Make sure you check out everything Built in Buffalo is giving you every single day. Best Bills content out there. YouTube, Facebook, it's a takeover at Built in Buffalo _. First live show. We are your host. I feel like Jay-Z, we need to reintroduce ourselves to the listeners here who haven't caught us before, but allow us to reintroduce ourselves.
Jay-Z.
My name is Matt. That is Tony. Yeah, Tony, it's a rap song. Get with the times. Tony, how you doing tonight?
I have a lot of questions about Jay-Z, but first I will regale you, as is tradition, recapping Bills games of old on video. We might be big stars tonight. Praising Ed, Groot, and Leo, or the red, white, and blue, and the witty things they do. I'm Tony, he is Matt, and this is you.
Very nice. Very
Inspired.
Nice. America's Funniest Home Video.
Yeah, inspired. I mean, a video theme for our first video episode. I wanted to bring,
Very nice.
bring the theme in, a celebration of our faces shown to the viewers, a celebration of listeners becoming viewers, and viewers becoming fans, fans becoming friends, friends
Circle
becoming
of
loved
life.
ones, and so it goes.
Always becoming men, men becoming wolves, werewolf, bar mitzvah, spooky, scary.
Becoming he-wolves.
Tony, our first live, becoming he-wolves, that's right. Tony, our first live show. Listeners, if you are viewing, comment, like, subscribe. We're new to this. We'll try to get to your comments as we move along. It might be some hiccups, some technical difficulties, but thank you for joining us on this first ever episode of Witty Not Funny Sports Live. Tony, for our first live show, I thought we should do it big. I thought we would have the hottest guests we've had on this show. I read stats that this person caused 400% increase in spikes, number one podcast rankings, and that is Taylor Swift. Taylor, we're going to get her in the no, I'm kidding. Taylor Swift. That would be great if we did. We're just trying to ease the tension here, folks. Tony, I feel like we should read a disclaimer to introduce people to our show, what it's about, what we're about. If you're coming here for X's and O's talk, that's about 20% of this show for any analytical Bills content. 80% of it is sarcasm and wild conspiracy theories and ridiculous takes that usually we walk back on and then kind of become less ridiculous as we walk back on them. Tony, I don't know. I put a note into Chat GTP and it spit back at me a disclaimer. I'm just going to read it now and let's see if it's accurate enough for you. This podcast is a satirical comedy show and none of the opinions expressed should be taken seriously. We're here to entertain and try to make you laugh or giggle. If you giggle or do a loud coarse ha, we think we did our job. But our content is meant purely for comedic purposes, and any resemblance to actual events or opinions is purely coincidental. Now that's like very black and white. We're somewhere in the middle there, I think. Don't you?
I would say we're further outside than what you just read is. In the middle, no, I would say we're at the opposite end. I would say like we're on the fringes of what's going on. It's a format that doesn't make sense. It's completely confusing. It's confusing if you were lost, if you're thinking of Bill's podcast, and then all of a sudden the whole thing can and will go off the rails. And those are my favorite parts. Matt, I hope they're your favorite parts as well.
My favorite parts as well. I see in the comments here we're not on the screen visually, so I'm trying to fix that as we talk.
Okay, so
I
was wondering if that's happening. I'm willing to play around a little bit.
I'm willing to play around. My camera's on, and yours is as well. So we're going to hit pause here. Our producer is going to come in and help us out a little here.
Shout out to our producer, best in the biz.
Best in the biz. That's why we hired him. Best in the biz. Roy gets it. Actually, we do have a face for radio. That's why we've been strictly audio this whole time. So we'll get into, if you don't know the format of our show as we fix out the technical difficulties here. There we go.
Oh.
We can see us now. And we're gone. And we're back.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this. All right.
That'll work.
Here we go.
I think we're good now. Our cool background is gone, but I do have Russ Brandon, Bill's legend, and just a marketing guy. Remember, he's just a marketing guy, people. That's my background. Tony, for our first episode, I thought we would do a little toast to
appropriate
this momentous occasion. And what better drink to toast to than the newly created, the newly formed Josh Allen special, the Buffalo Pepsi. Listeners, live taste test of the Buffalo Pepsi. I have my Pepsi here. Tony, you have your Pepsi.
I have a Pepsi.
We're gonna add the wing sauce to it. Listeners, we are being the guinea pigs, so you don't have to. Wing sauce is being added. Oh, this looks disgusting. This is bad.
How much are you adding?
I don't have celery for a garnish, but I have a nice carrot, which also goes well with wings. Doing a little mixing there. Tony, are you ready to indulge in this wonderful concoction of a drink? Let's see if Josh knows what he's talking about.
All right, so let's see. So it's like a dash. It's like a shot, like a whoosh. It's just a whoosh over it, right?
It's a whoosh over.
All right, so it's a whoosh over. I go a little more than that.
Whoosh it,
all right,
whoosh it about.
What hot sauce?
I don't know if it's on your. I went with Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray McCloud's.
Sweet Baby Ray's. Talking Sweet Baby Ray's wing sauce.
Yeah, buffalo wing sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a good sign that the wing sauce is coagulating or solidifying in the drink, but we're gonna go with it. Ready?
I'm having a similar experience. If we're talking density, mine sank right to the bottom. Like
mine's floating to the
cascaded
top.
over top and sank like a stone.
Mine
all right, so we're
to the top
okay.
Like they're, I don't know, sea enema. I don't know, whatever. You ready? Toast to our first show.
To the first show on video.
First show on video. Here we go.
And last.
Oh God. Nope. Interesting texture.
I'm just getting like hints.
The worst part is like I can smell the wing sauce before the liquid hits my lips. Like,
yes.
It's that anticipation of like this is gonna be bad.
I'm having a very different experience than you.
Oh, talk to me. What is your experience?
I'm only smelling the wing sauce. Like, I can smell the wing sauce. It feels like the wing sauce is just kind of like exploding up with the carbonation onto the walls of the glass. And like, I'm smelling that, but then when I drink it, I'm getting very, very little wing sauce because it's all at the bottom. It's almost a trick. It's almost playing a trick on my mind because I'm smelling what my nose thinks that I'm supposed to be tasting a wing.
Very tricky.
But then my taste buds get a Pepsi.
So I rated a 1 out of 5, 5 being like very good, 1 being very bad. What would you say?
Well, 0. I mean, it's for what it actually is. Like in the scheme of drinks, obviously this is a disgusting idea. This is an insane thing for us to do to start off the first show. We got like, what are we doing?
Does it make you doubt Josh's decision making?
No way.
He would so eagerly endorse something like this.
I mean, no, because I would say it's a double endorsement. It's the money and the morals are meeting in this endorsement. The big money Pepsi endorsement is hitting, and the hometown, like, pander to the fans, give some wing sauce in here is also, rewarding him.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I think it's a solid 1.6 out of 5 as more floats to the top.
I wish I had a stir. If I had a stir, I feel like I could.
Look at that flotation. This is disgusting.
I mean, if I look at the bottom of mine,
it gets worse
like
because the wing sauce starts to come. I think we've gone far enough with this bit. We will send it to one of our favorite guests, Marv Levy. He comes here every week to sing, give us his beautiful golden voice, only worthy of a mac and cheese commercial. Tony, what do you say we send it to Marv? We got a lot of Bills to talk. We got this Commanders game. You ready to send it to Marv?
Please send it to Marv.
Let
me sort out my comedy props over here.
He's like Carrot Top over there.
Yeah.
Let's send it to Marv. We'll be back after the break.
So go, Bills fight, Bills go. Come on, let's win for Buffalo.
And we're back, listeners. If you are not familiar with this show, we start off our show the same way during Bill season as we start off every show, with the So Bad It's Good review. Tony, one of your favorite bits as you critique me and give notes. This is my little 1-minute synopsis, and that I try to fit in every single possible pop culture reference I can related to the game. Tony, you ready? You got your notes ready?
Well, I wish I did, because I've been lying to the listeners when they were listeners for years, saying that I had a yellow legal pad that was ready to go. And now I feel the jig is up. There is no legal pad. I have this book. I'm going to not use it. I'm going to take mental notes. I want to hear this thing.
You have a prop book that you're not going to use. This is fantastic.
Because I have no pen. I have no pen access. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, I got to get my best Chris Berman voice. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We head over to FedEx Field, where the Buffalo Bills delivered their D's in a box against the Commanders Sunday. It was a lonely island of sadness for new owner Josh Harris, but he did get a lot of time to practice his handshakes, that's for sure. Leonard Neefloyd was living long and prospering as the edge star kept trekking around the offensive line, getting to the QB all day, disrupting Terry McLaurin and the super bad Washington offense, which was so embarrassing. Scary Terry is going to probably move to Ireland and become an Irish R&B singer after this. Sam was trying to howl at the moon, but it was the he-wolf howling the loudest with the greatest 5-yard catch ever recorded on film. And AJ Epinpresa, which is Italian for business, meant the business and spoke the language of love, as in the Bills Mafia loving his pick six to bring the Bills the victory. But in the end, Benjamin St. Just was praying that the immaculate booth of Joey Sly and the Family Stone would have the Commanders fans dancing to the music of not getting shut out. Someone check on J.D. McKissick, see if he regrets his decision as the Bills go down to D.C., do their best Nick Cage impression by stealing the Declaration of Windependence from Washington. Bills 37, Commanders 3. That is the So Bad It's Good review, folks.
Matt, follow-up question. What is Italian for business?
Impresa. I'm Italian. I don't even know how to speak the language.
Impreza?
Yeah. So instead
Okay,
of
like
epinesa,
impressive.
Epimpresa. Yes.
So you could have just said ep impressive.
But that's not that's the English word.
Well, I guess, but I hope we have many Italian speaking viewers and or listeners, but ep impressive, I was like, wow, ep impressive, and then you're like, it's Italian for business. And I was like, oh, all right. Also, what was the pun on Leonard Nimoy? Leonard Neefloyd?
Yeah. Reach? A little bit?
A little bit of a reach.
Okay.
A little bit of a reach. That was the first thing that really stuck out to me, that like alarm bells went off in my head. Leonard Neefloyd.
Solid way to start off the So Bad It's Good review.
Yeah, sure, it's good. Yeah. That review was so bad it was good.
That's the point of it. That's the point of it, Tony.
Let's
get into the game. The Bills' dominating performance. And I think we have to start off by talking about the guy that we've kind of questioned, literally and figuratively, for a year and a half now, and that's Terrell Bernard. Bernard.
Yeah, like the question is answered.
The question might be answered. Like, I feel like, first of all, an amazing game. AFC Defensive Player of the Week for Terrell Bernard. Keep in mind, let's pump the brakes a little for a second. Awesome game. 3 weeks of like evaluating Terrell Bernard's play. So far, so good, but there's a long season to go, and it could all fall off the cliff very quickly, or it could get better. We don't know. It's small sample size, but for 3 weeks, he has been pretty good. And I don't feel justified possibly getting the Terrell Bernard thesis or commentary that we've had, Terrell Bernard commentary that we've had for the past year and a half wrong. I feel more justified getting the Tremaine Edmonds commentary that I've had for 5 years kind of right. I feel more better about that. I feel more better that Brandon Beane did not pay Tremaine Edmonds all that money, and we have a guy who has, in 3 games, side note, but no asterisk, in 3 games produced just as well as a guy making a million times more than Terrell Bernard is.
A million times more?
Yeah.
So I'm making like 6 times more.
Yeah. No, that's more accurate, yeah. But accuracy is not a thing at this show, Tony. You know that.
That is true. We actively spread a lot of disinformation.
We do. But sometimes it's right. For context, Tony, it took Tremaine Edmonds 3 years to win an AFC Defensive Player of the Week. It took Terrell Bernard 3 games. Terrell Bernard has 2 interceptions on this year. Took Tremaine Edmonds like forever to get 2 interceptions and 2 sacks and all these stats, all these things that we wished for in a middle linebacker that Tremaine Edmonds didn't give us. And listeners, if you haven't caught on yet, I'm not a Tremaine Edmonds fan. He's okay. He's solid. He's average. He's pretty good. He's not great. Terrell Bernard is kind of the same guy, just a very smaller version of that. But the thing that Terrell Bernard has been doing for the past 3 weeks is making impact plays. And that's all we've ever talked about with Tremaine Edmonds is making impact plays, making difference-making plays. And Terrell Bernard has produced that. And that's something that I have been longing for a long time in the middle linebacker position that we didn't get for a while. And it seems like we have it. This might be Brandon Beane's biggest like coup ever of like hiding this guy and making us think he's not great or we don't know what we have or any negative connotation that comes along with thinking about Terrell Bernard. Maybe like
Bernard?
Bernard.
Our Bernard?
Tony, what are your thoughts about Terrell Bernard's play these past 3 weeks in this season, and how surprised are you, I guess?
Okay, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. There's a
Tons of
lot of good to say. A real rags to riches story. So we like that. I hope for the Bills' sake overall that it continues. And especially I also hope that, I think that maybe from this show, but I think there's a stigma on Brandon Beane about day 2 picks. So maybe this could break the stigma if things go well.
True.
I am cautiously optimistic to any of that because this is splash plays. He's been pretty solid. Like we've always said many times in the past, we don't really think that the role that Tremaine Edmonds was playing is a role that like requires a lot. So Bernard, we were like, well, if Bernard can be enough, then that's good enough, and that's all we would really need. But what do we always hear about Bernard? We always see, like, to me, the thing that everyone says is instincts. Like, it's all about Bernard. It's all about with his instincts.
Right.
These instincts. And, like, the instincts are what's producing turnovers. If we did not see, if he hasn't fallen into these turnovers because of his instincts, would we be saying the same thing? Would we be having any criticism of his just day-to-day, play-to-play game? Would we be criticizing it? Would we be saying he's missing anything? I don't know, because I feel like he's been. I think we wouldn't. I think he's been pretty decent. Like, he's been getting a high amount of tackles. I would say that that's largely supported by the defensive line play because his tackles are going to be coming in the form of tackling a runner. And the D line has been, knock on wood, pretty good. So that's, I mean, so overall, I would say Bernard, like, this is what we were hoping for in terms of value versus production versus what we're asking him to do. It's all matching up so far. And I know that, the turnovers and the big splash plays probably aren't going to last forever. And even then, I think we'll probably be all right. Right? We'll be all right.
All right. We'll be all right. When you got an all-pro alongside him in Matt Milano,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It makes you look really good. And you're right. The defensive line has been excellent this season so far. A Von-less defensive line at that. So, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I put on Twitter, and if you're not following us at Witty Sports 716 on Twitter, we still call it Twitter, just like I still call it the Ralph. So that's not going anywhere. Give us a follow, Instagram. Please do. Tony, I will say, rough start, but I think we're recovering quite well. Side note here with the technical difficulties, if you will.
This episode.
Why'd I go back to this? Oh, that was.
I'll join you.
Oh,
I'll join you. Here's to you, my friend.
Why did I do that? I wasn't paying attention. More stuff is floating to the top. But Terrell Bernard has been a breath of fresh air, to say the least. I put on Twitter earlier this week. People want to know when it started to click for Terrell Bernard, because we didn't see him in the preseason. We barely saw him last year. And when we did, it was primarily in a special teams role, not during the preseason. And during the preseason last year, he wasn't terribly impressive in his own right. But people want to know when it started to click for Terrell Bernard. Bandits game. Doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin, chugging beers. That's, I think, when it really clicked for Terrell Bernard, of like, he's buying into the culture. We talk about culture all the time. What better way to buy into the culture than chugging some beers, watching a championship winning team, getting that mentality. And I think he's just carried that on to the successful 3 weeks here. Don't you?
I would say I 100% agree with you. Now, and I 100% agree with you because this is literally the only thing I've ever seen Terrell Bernard do is be at a Bandits game.
Who is
I
this
have
man?
no, yeah. So
He's a mystery wrapped in a riddle.
I have no reason to disagree with you because the only time I've ever seen anything about Terrell Bernard out of uniform, not with the helmet on, is at this Bandits game.
Custom Bandits jersey too. I mean, the guys buying in. Now the same cannot be said for Kyer Elam, who's been at the Bandits games as well. So hopefully some of that success rubs off. But Tony, let's move on to the trenches where the Bills have dominated. They dominated this past Sunday against the Commanders. And I'll start with the guy I mentioned, maybe bad punditry aside, but Leonard Floyd. What a signing he's been. Very underrated, very under the radar signing. I think everyone was kind of excited, but also, and maybe I'm speaking just for me and only me, but kind of getting some Mario Addison vibes of like, okay, maybe this guy was good for a couple of years, but we're getting him on the tail end of his career. He's been nothing but good, and he's been a pleasant surprise and really a great replacement in these 4 weeks that Von is absent. And it goes back to what I always say for viewers of the show for the first time or listeners of the show for the first time. Like, I don't understand how Brandon Beane didn't diversify his draft strategy when it comes to edges for so long. I mean, when you start with Epinesa and you draft Rousseau and Basham, and like it always seemed like he was going towards this technique, kind of strength, defensive edge. And then you bring in Von Miller, who's a more bendy and more off the snap, twitchy guy, and he's super successful because he's Von Miller and he's a future Hall of Famer. But then you bring in a similar type of player who's not 270 plus, who doesn't like win with power, but wins with speed and bend in Leonard Floyd, and he's also super successful. So I look back at drafts and like guys like Brian Burns and Darrell Taylor for the Seahawks and all those guys that could have been had. Like, I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm glad he kind of saw the light here in bringing Von Miller and Leonard Floyd into the picture, into the fold here, because they have been super impactful. Leonard Floyd was an absolute beast on Sunday. He could not be blocked, it seemed like. And I just can't wait till Von's back. And when you run Von and Rousseau, who's been very good, and now you have Leonard Floyd as well, you could put together some exotic packages of stunting and stuff and really confuse offensive lines and really get to the quarterback, especially if you can create second long, third and long, things like that. So Leonard Floyd, awesome. Been a pleasant surprise. I don't want to say surprise, but I'm just glad he's continued his successful stat lines and production, carrying it over from his Rams days. So Tony, your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting what you said about Mario Addison, because I think it's only because of Mario Addison that we were I think it's a combo of what we had experienced with Mario Addison, the heartache, the disappointment, the just like
that sums it up. Yeah.
Yeah, the heartache and disappointment, and combine that with now like how the free agency period is a little more spread out. Like you can get quality free agents much later. It's not just like the first 3 days, the mad rush of the first 3 days anymore. Yeah. And so then it's like you get to Leonard Floyd and he was like a little bit later. And it's like, was he on anyone's radar? Probably not, because like the buzz of free agency had already kind of left the zeitgeist. Then it just becomes like, oh yeah, Leonard Floyd. I've heard of him. Like that's probably all right. And then, that he had recent, and then it's like, well, he had a lot of sacks recently in the past couple of years. Okay. So did Mario Addison. So to hell with you, So
and that's why I compare them.
Right. Yeah. It's an easy, obvious comparison because of, I think, just like the recent history of experience. But now I was always kind of expecting, I don't know. I was always kind of expecting more, but more out of Leonard Floyd, not necessarily I wasn't expecting more necessarily this much in terms of pressure out of Leonard Floyd, but I just thought he would be like really good, solid member of the defensive line that would help create opportunities. But instead, I'm pleasantly surprised that he's really creating pressure and like he's really doing it with his physical self, which everyone's impression on his physical self is the same when they see him in real life, how skinny he is, and he seems very slight for the position he plays. But I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's good. And I think it's going to be a really nice blend, sort of. I think it's going to be a really nice syncopation, I guess, when Von is back, Leonard Floyd is back, both of them, no spring chickens anymore. So they can complement each other to keep each other's like reps down, keep each other's fresh.
I agree. It's going to be very cool to see. I'm curious to know about the rotation because I mean, when you look at the edge room as a whole, I like all 5-6 guys we have, like including Von when he comes back. Kingsley Jonathan was activated, former guest of this show and friend of the show. Kingsley Jonathan was activated for this game and played well. Like AJ Epinesa, huge play to kind of put the nail in the coffin in the game, which was like I was just laughing the whole way because he picked off Sam Howell, and as Sam Howell rolled out, and it kind of reminded me of that like YouTube video of like Greg Jennings like on the broken leg, the Madden video. It's like
carrying
so much
the team on his back.
Dough. Yeah, carrying the team on, yeah. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of. Is he was running towards the end zone, but AJ Epinesa has been good, and I don't know what the rotation is. I like Shaq too. Like you can't play them all. So, what do you think this rotation looks like when Von comes back in 2 to 3
running
weeks?
Running downs versus passing downs, and I think what we'll look at is running downs versus passing downs. If it's a pass rush situation, it'll be either Floyd or Von in there providing the pass rush. If we're really going after it, maybe someone goes inside and adds a little bit into that mix. But then if it's not that situation and we're not necessarily trying to get that much pressure, maybe Shaq goes in to set the edge a little bit, and we can have a little bit less in there, playing it a little bit more safer towards the rush, or just throw every edge rusher in there. It's an embarrassment of riches.
Or
it's
edge
an
rushers.
Embarrassment of wealth.
5 edge rushers.
Why not 6? Why not 7?
Why not 11 edge rushers?
Why not 11 edge rushers?
Jailhouse it. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially this week against Tua, just freak him out.
That's what I want.
That'd be very funny.
Let's play the head games with Tua, and by head games, I don't mean let's give him a concussion. Let's play that head game. I mean,
no, we don't want to see that.
No, but I mean, let's play the head game, playing into his already pre-existing brain damage and confusing.
Okay, now you clarified it. Thanks.
Yeah, exploitation.
Moving to the inside of the defensive line, once again a big game from these guys, and they've been great all year. Is Ed Oliver living up to his contract? Like that's something I never thought I'd say, but I think it's true. Like he's been very good. He's been healthy. I think that's a big key to all this. And he even said it himself this week. Is like a healthy Ed is a good Ed. I mean, can we finally justify him being introduced during Bills games riding a horse? I feel like it was never justified. Like if you put that man on a horse for introductions during the game, he's not at that. He wasn't at that level. He wasn't at that level of consistency where it's like you get the horse. But now I feel like he's consistent enough where it's like, okay, Ed, we'll give you the horse for the player introductions. He's been really good. Is he living up to his contract is the question.
Who's we? Who's we? I've always been an Ed Oliver believer. You've been the denier, and
us John McCargo truthers.
Now, yes, exactly. Now I'm glad that you're starting to join us here in the Oliver believers that want it to play out like this for our new viewers. The team is being introduced. a buffalo. No, sorry. The team is being introduced. A wagon will come out of the tunnel. Ed Oliver will follow the wagon out on the tunnel and circle the wagon at the 50-yard line, Ed Oliver on his horse. And that is how he will be introduced. Put it in the books.
I just want to comment, Roy, here. Kingsley's not getting cut. No way you can cut that guy.
I agree.
He's a practice squad all-star, or he's a scout team all-star. And he's a guest.
I think he's more than that.
Tony, if we know anything, and listeners of the show know, if you come on this show, it is your platform to stardom.
Yes.
Guests of the
we
show
know this.
experience nothing but success.
Yes.
So there's no
This is
way
true.
Kingsley can get cut.
This is true. Yes. You are, it's not only stardom, but just overall success. Your career will become successful. You will become
Your life will
the
get
apple of
better.
the coach's eye. Yeah, your life will get better. That's true.
Outside,
You will
on and
hit
off
a
the field.
streak of scratch-off lottery ticket wins that you wouldn't dare believe.
you will gain so many Squirrel Winter level friends by coming on this show. You won't know what to do. You have to include them all in a group chat and have to talk to them all, and you'll just gain a network of friends just by being on this show, like Kingsley has. He's gained 52 other friends because he made the Bills roster by being on this show.
If you're on this show, you will take walks down your own street and turn around and find that small children and animals are casually following you. Like in
Like
Bruce
Snow
Almighty.
White.
Like
Or
Snow
Bruce
White, or
Almighty.
like in Bruce Almighty. Like you will find that nature knows. Nature believes in you and puts the glow upon
Nature
you.
knows. Nature knows. And nature also knows that our defensive line has been very good. Ed Oliver has been very good. But I want to sing the praises of a guy who maybe doesn't get the praise all the time, and that's Daquan Jones. And I have nothing bad to say about Daquan Jones. What do we know about Daquan Jones? Not much, but let's look at the facts here. He's very good at football. 2, he looks like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. You can't go wrong with that combination. Very good, Uncle Phil looking guy. Very good at football, Uncle Phil looking guy. Can't go wrong with that combo. So Daquan Jones, all I'm asking for now is Brandon Beane, where's that extension? Where's that extension for Daquan Jones? The man is a beast. He is the reason, or a big part of why Terrell Bernard has been successful, because he takes on double teams, and why Ed Oliver has been successful, because Ed Oliver can win one-on-one battles because Daquan Jones is doing his job as the big man in front, run stuffing, taking up double teams, plugging holes. Daquan Jones does not get enough love because he doesn't produce the sexy stats, but when you watch him, if you watch the game and watch him specifically, the man is a monster, and he's been a monster for 2 years. And if they don't extend him, I'm going to be very mad. I'm going to be very upset. This is my mad face. And this is the face I'm going to have if Daquan Jones is not a Buffalo Bill next year.
Matt,
Tony,
I will say...
I'm sure you agree.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And this might all just be employed to get him on the show to boost him to stardom, just like we did with Kingsley.
Right.
We'll sing his praises, come on the show, contract next day. Promises
I will
met,
say
promises kept.
the best social justice shirt I've ever seen, I saw at Bills camp. The kid was maybe 9 years old, black shirt, white Arial writing, extend Daquan Jones.
That kid
is what it said on the
is
shirt.
a genius.
That kid knows.
The youth of America is okay, folks.
Yeah, the kids are all right.
The kids are all right.
We have to extend Daquan Jones, and the simplest of minds understand this. Does Brandon Beane understand this? Time will tell. I sure hope so.
He's been very
good. But if
good,
this
and
season, yeah.
He's going to be a key this week as well, because that Miami run game is clicking, and we'll talk about Miami and get into the preview in a little bit here. So, but Tony, go ahead. You were talking.
No, I'm good.
No, you're good. Okay. I made my point. I'm good.
Yeah, I did. I feel comfortable with where I'm at about this.
Let's move to the other side of the line of scrimmage, the trenches. Talk about the offensive line. Another pretty good game from them. My question to you, is Spencer Brown good? Has it clicked for him? It took 3 years, but is it finally starting to click? And I think he has been better. I will preface it by saying he has been better. This is the strongest start, I think, to his Bills career. Strongest start. He hasn't looked out of place. He hasn't given up a lot of sacks. His technique has been good. He's also been getting some help with the chips and stuff. So I think they're doing some stuff to shield him and help him out. But he's been good. And that was an issue coming in to camp this summer. Is Spencer Brown going to be healthy? Is it going to finally click for him? It was an issue last year towards the end of the season. Spencer Brown just looked like he had no place on that offensive line or no place playing in the game. He was a hazard to Josh's safety, and that's what we can't have. We can't have Josh getting hurt. And if you have one job, it's to keep Josh healthy, and he's been doing a good job at that. And Tony, I think we can finally declare it. We got the good Connor McGovern.
Oh, okay. I hope so.
Connor McGovern.
I'm not declaring it.
Oh, I am.
Your declaration's written.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm signing on the dotted line.
I've been pleasantly surprised with Connor McGovern in that I'm not frustrated with Connor McGovern. I've been pleasantly surprised with the entire offensive line, to be honest with you.
The Jets, Connor McGovern. The Jets have been imploding, so I think
That's
we got the
true.
good Connor McGovern.
Sure, that seems okay. We should get the other one.
Awesome.
I want to get both.
All three?
All three. There's a third?
Oh, no. You want to get
okay.
the Jets one.
Yeah, in addition to go side by side with Connor McGovern.
That'd be amazing.
And we want to get the other Josh Allen.
Connor McGovern squared. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
we want to get all the same name people.
Matt, let me ask you this. Let's say, okay, so like forget contracts and like the timing of contracts. Let's say like theoretically the entire roster could come back next year. What position, even to me, what I'm trying to say is even with what Spencer Brown has been doing, I'm still in a position, and he deserves some praise, but I'm still in a position as like, well, if I had to choose a position to like upgrade, I would probably like right tackle would be like one of my top. I would still be thinking, well, yeah, I have to upgrade right tackle.
I disagree. Well,
okay.
I agree to a sense, but I think the weakest has been, and this is kind of being overzealous a little, but because he's been solid and he's always solid, and I think that's kind of just his plateau is just like he's solid. I think Mitch Morse is kind of plateauing and coming down a little. He's been good, and he's always been good. But we talk about all the time is like these guys have been in the system. Deion Dawkins, Mitch Morse, Spencer Brown for a long time now, and we can never get to the point of saying like, oh, these guys are really good. You know, we can't get past that good level. We can't go up. And I think Mitch Morse has kind of hit that plateau. And I would look for, and maybe it's Ryan Bates, but next year, but I would look for kind of a Mitch Morse anchor replacement here moving forward. His contract, his health history. That's where I would go if I was looking at the offensive line.
Oh, I meant overall, but okay.
Overall, is like the team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different topic of discussion.
Yes, it is.
I would look at safety.
Who would you want to replace?
Maybe both. No,
Okay.
Hyde and Poyer are very good. They like through the 3 weeks. I think the one consistent I can say, and yes, Micah Hyde had an interception, and the defense overall played very well this Sunday to a 2-0 Commanders team. So, I mean, but the one consistent I hold through these 3 weeks to start the season is the safeties kind of look old and kind of slow, and they're kind of banged up every week, and we don't really have great depth behind it. We thought Taylor Rapp would be great depth, but however much credit you want to give to PFF grades, he's been not great. And he's had some coverage issues. You can see it while watching the game. And DeMar Hamlin's been inactive. And in penalties, exactly. And DeMar Hamlin's been inactive. So, we don't really, we know what we have from DeMar Hamlin last year, who's a guy that's very good in the box, but not the best in coverage. And that might be Taylor Rapp as well. So they might be one and the same in that regard. But the depth doesn't look great behind two guys in their 30s who look old and a little slow. And, that's what you get on this show, people. You get the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Every bill is not great, and every bill is not the greatest thing to ever walk the earth. I mean, we just comment on what we see, and that's what I see from the two safeties. So I would definitely look to safety. I think it's a position Brandon Beane holds in high regard too. So I think it's an important position for them to find an impact player. And I'm not saying Hyde and Poyer are not impact players. They still have good years left, but I would start looking at some depth come next year. That'd be my answer if we're looking at the team holistically here.
Here, I thought you were going to say, what I thought you were about to say is like, no, I thought you were about to say, and that's what you get here on this show. Two guys in their 30s that look old and slow.
Just like Hyde and Poyer.
We're the Hyde and Poyer.
Who's to say we can't go out there and cover Tyreek Hill, Tony?
That's what I think all the time. Even when I see Leonard Floyd, I'm like, well, Leonard Floyd is like 6 or 7 years younger than me. 6 or 7 years ago, I felt like I could really do a lot of physical things. So I think he's probably going to be pretty good at rushing the passer.
We could do so much back in our days.
Yeah.
Who would you replace? Would it be right tackle? Or
it would potentially be right tackle. I mean, I'm also in this exercise, I'm also taking like aging out of it. Just like what position is underperforming that I want to be like, yeah, I know, but that's not the point. That's not the fun of it. I would maybe think that. I would maybe think outside receiver. Or maybe, actually, what I would maybe think about bringing in is another, a different player in the, what I would call the Isaiah McKenzie role, which is now Hardy, because Hardy has not been, Hardy, yes, because Hardy has not been not been fulfilling my hopes and dreams, what he's doing. But I think that's largely a Dable problem, more so than it is a his skill set problem.
I think that's a great segue into flipping to the offensive side of the ball, because the offense does still look a little uncomfortable, I guess. I don't really know the right word.
Does it?
To describe? I think so.
Or does it just look different? Is it us that has
That's
the
a
blind
great
spot?
point. Do you think it looks different? The eye test. Do you think it looks different from last year? I don't.
Yes, I do think it looks different than last year.
Really? In what way?
Yes, I do. Well, the personnel groupings are like way different in terms of consistent ways and identities. Oh yes, better. Would you like to cheers?
Oh yeah, let's cheers to
yes, let us do
the turnaround of the offense. Oh gosh, yes. Bubbling now. Shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, mine's getting more. I would say my hot sauce is getting more like diffused around.
Yeah.
Over time.
No.
But I would also say
last time I go back to that.
I would also say
I'll dehydrate.
I'm
before
right.
I drink that again.
Well, it's Pepsi. You're gonna dehydrate anyway. But I would say that right now, as my hot sauce is diffusing around the liquid, right now I'm in like a golden zone. I'm just having it's Pepsi with a little kick of hot sauce. I feel like I'm not bad. I feel like if I could get this moment in a can, I would have a successful product on my hands.
I think so. Roy coming in with a comment here. Hardy has been tardy, which I don't know if that's a Real Housewives reference. Hardy's been tardy to the party, but if it is, then great reference. If it's not, that's a free one for you, Roy. Thank you for commenting. By the way, Deontay Hardy, I want to like him, but they run plays for him that are never
don't make
successful.
Sense. Yes, thank you. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like he is just a test subject for the bad plays, and all the good plays, you're not on the field for Deontay Hardy Harris.
And may I add to this? They're at the dumbest times. You're gonna
The
like.
dumbest
I
times,
hate
yeah.
this. Yes, the dumbest times. The dumbest like game situation. We're gonna. It's 3-12, and we're at our own 40, and we're gonna throw it to Hardy in the flat and hope
Right.
that we can get 13 yards on Yak from Hardy when
Right.
he's averaging 3.2 yards per touch. What are we doing? Like this
I
is
mean,
we have to
every-
rethink Deontay Hardy. We have to rethink him.
I'd rather just see him run like kind of like a slot receiver role
Yes.
and
yes.
and ISO him instead of doing like every time Deontay Hardy is in, we're gonna run a bubble screen for him, and it's never gonna work because teams know that when Deontay Hardy Harris is in, it's a bubble screen, or we're gonna put him in motion and hand it off to him, which is
Mhm.
never gonna work because team like that. We only run 2 plays for him, and teams know those 2 plays.
I know.
So when you say, rewind for a second, when you say this offense looks different, I hope you mean different in that they didn't run a Gabe Davis running play last year and they did this year, which was incredibly
yeah, that's
dumb.
exactly what I meant. That's 100% of what I meant. That's the entire story.
That is the entire story.
That's the whole
why,
thing.
I mean, when you look at the advanced stats, like we're still one of the lowest teams in the league running pre-snap motion, which is going to be very interesting this coming week against Miami to see like the difference of offenses and defenses and schematics and all that. When we do run play action, it works like a charm. I don't know why we don't run more play action, because if there is one thing that is different, and maybe this is what you're getting at with the offense looks different, the run game's clicking a little, and we haven't really had that in years past. James Cook seems like the real deal. Seems like a dual threat running back. Again, small sample size, 3 weeks, but we have last year to go off of for James Cook, unlike Terrell Bernard. And James Cook is just a yards monster, like averaging 5, 6 yards, 7 yards a carry, and consistently doing that. And I think that's where I can buy into you saying the offense is different, because I think with an established run game now, it opens up the play action where we know Josh flourishes. Josh has historically during his career flourished in play action passing scenarios. So more of that, please, Ken Dorsey. More pre-snap motion. Use Hardy. Use Sherfield. Use He-Wolf. And for listeners, I feel like, again, asterisk, He-Wolf is Khalil Shakir, because Shakira, pre-tax evasion and whatever she's doing with now, is the She-Wolf.
Why do you even say it? Why do we even have to say that? Why can't we just be
part
all
of the news, Tony?
positively to Shakira?
We got it.
Shakira, we don't have to drag Shakira. This is a pro Shakira podcast.
Her hips don't lie, but her tax forms do. Okay.
Oh my, again. Wow.
Anyway, Shakira
Saint IRS over
is
here.
the He-Wolf,
Judgy.
as in Shakira is the She-Wolf. So that's where, if we say He-Wolf, we're talking about Khalil Shakir, people. And Winston agrees. Obviously, they need to let Shakir play more. He's very good and can be great if they play him more. Agree. 100% agree with that statement, right, Tony?
Yes. And
10 catches last year. The 10 greatest catches you'll ever see.
And who's he competing with for snaps? Hardy? Hardy screws it all up because the plays are not well designed for Hardy.
Sherfield?
But Sherfield is like kind of a different animal, different role. That's true. And Sherfield didn't even turn it on until this last game.
2 catches is Shakir,
yeah. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. He can turn it.
He's present on the stat sheet, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. Yes, that's what I mean. That's
turning it
what
on.
I mean. Yeah, turning it on. Trent Sherfield. But Shakir, I mean, it's not like Shakir's howling either. But like Shakir is like solid. He's a solid route runner. He gets it done. Can have a few drops sometimes.
Just makes plays.
But I would never dare say that because we love him. We love you, Khalil Shakir. You are the He-Wolf.
Unconditionally.
Yeah, unconditionally is right. Mm-hmm. And he should get more touches because that's the safest. Getting the plays in that Shakir is involved in are like always are set up for success. You're setting yourself up for success, and all of us up for success when you do that.
Tony,
he's going to have a touchdown this week.
Oh, good call. I like that. I think a lot of people are going to have touchdowns because I think this is going to be
I'm gonna bet it.
super high scoring.
Yes,
I already
that's
took the
true. Yeah.
over. It was like 53.5. I'm like, yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Quick power rankings, Tony. Your top number 1 out of 1 favorite touchdown the Bills have scored this year. Go. This shouldn't even be a thought.
No, it is
Raiders,
a thought because
Khalil Shakir.
I feel like I have to remember them. I guess. Okay.
You guess. That was incredible.
Well,
Josh with the sidearm, moving away from the play. He Wolf in traffic, fighting to get into the end zone.
yeah,
Best touchdown
but like stuff like that.
this year.
So it didn't spring to mind immediately because stuff like that happens all the time on this team.
With the He Wolf, it does, yeah.
So I wanted it to be in the
The
He-Wolf
extraordinary
world it
is
does.
regular when it comes
In
to
the
the He-Wolf.
woods. In the woods it does, where the He-Wolf resides.
The woods of Orchard Park.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
treacherous
The
woods.
the ravine
Suburban
that
Buffalo.
surrounds the stadium. I do love that the ravine is like we were calling it the ravine, but then that is actually what like they call it. They call it the ravine. Like in the stadium, they call it the ravine in the offices.
Yes. We started that.
Yeah, I would say that does come from us. Yes, you're welcome to the
We started
culture.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we
Hold
do.
God, we started for the punter
That's
who
true.
shall not be named.
That is true.
We
That
don't
is true. That
we don't
was
name 'em.
that was really us.
on this podcast or on this show.
We don't. We have a good
Gotta-
punter now.
I got to
so.
move to like stop calling it a podcast now that we're live.
Yeah, but it
The
is.
run game has been very good. 3-headed monster, a Cerebus of running backs, if you will. Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, all playing parts in this early season, in these early wins. And I think that's been really good. I still would love to see some kind of dynamic levels of the route trees from the wide receivers. Even on that Gabe Davis touchdown, you had Knox and Davis in like a very similar 5-foot radius. And it's like, can we space it out? Diggs wasn't even running a route. Like those were the only two guys running routes on that play, or Knox and Davis, and they end up in the same exact place. It was almost like an Art Briles Baylor offense, where it's like, okay, if you're not the guy getting the ball, just take the play off. But if you can potentially get the ball, go and run around. Like that was
You know what it
reminded
was,
me
man.
of. But what's that?
It was a retro bowl play.
Oh, it was a retro
Through and
bowl play.
through.
That like
Whereas
that,
a retro bowl play
post-
is like
that pylon post play works every time.
It does. And it was a retro bowl play in that retro bowl just like all the players converge to one area when the play like forms. And then there's just like three players all next to each other.
Yes.
You just have to throw it there and one of them will end up catching it and run away.
Hopefully. Yeah.
It's retro bowl.
Listeners,
Throw-
watchers don't
throw
know,
where
or
they
viewers
are.
don't know what Retro Bowl is. It is an app on your phone. It's free. It's awesome. If you love Tecmo Bowl back in the day, you'll love Retro Bowl. Go download it. Free plug for Retro Bowl. We're not getting any
There
money
was
from this.
also earlier this week, as you know, Retro Bowl College dropped.
Oh, I did not. Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm deep in on it. Mhm.
You taking UB to the top?
Well, I have taken UB to the top a few times. I took because you can go major and minor. So I started my career at the minor schools, and I took the what they were calling in there because they can't use their names. I think the Northeast Conference in the minors, and I turned that into SUNYX, and then I took Fredonia to the top a few times, and then I got promoted, or I took a job, then bumping myself up from Fredonia to UB, and now I am on.
You're really moving
I
up the
have had
digital
I
ladder
have had
here.
2 national championships with Buffalo,
Congrats.
with UB. Thank you.
Claps. Everyone give it up for Tony.
On our way to a
Taking his
third.
digital,
No big
taking
deal.
his digital UB team to the championship.
That's what I'm saying.
When I say the offense looks bumpy, Tony, I think it's because I still don't feel like we have that second receiving threat. Diggs has been amazing. Diggs has been him, to be as cliche as possible. He's been consistently good week after week. Gabe Davis, I haven't seen anything from him. This was supposed to be the year. Like, this is your contract year. You were made a captain. Like, this is the time to step up. They made a silly character out of you, Grape Davis. You need to justify the silly name, the T-shirts that Josh is wearing. One catch for 31 yards and a touchdown is not like doing it for me. He wasn't present in the Jets game when we could have used some offensive help. The Raiders game was a blowout, which he was okay in, but I
He's
just
the leading
don't
receiver.
know if what's that?
He was the leading receiver in the
Yeah,
Raiders
I
game.
mean, but
6 for
it's
92
the
and a
Raiders.
touchdown.
So
What do you
can
want?
it, like,
Okay, it's the Raiders. Okay.
I like there was so much hype around Gabe Davis. He's healthy. He doesn't need glasses, as we have proposed in the past. Stephon Diggs was singing his praises that if Stephon Diggs wasn't there, Gabe Davis would be the number one receiver. And I'm just not like seeing that level of play. I don't think he's a great route runner. I think he's got a limited route tree. I don't think he's terribly fast and creates great separation. I just need to see more in a contract year when you should be playing your best, as most NFL players do in contract years, and you're made the captain. I need to see more from Grape Davis. I'm sorry. Like, these grapes are turned into raisins. Like, for me.
Yeah, the grapevines are not fruitful.
No. Have
So
you been
far.
impressed with Gabe Davis? I mean, have you been disappointed as I have?
Neither. I'm neutral on what Gabe Davis is doing this year. I think his games will come. I think that they're like, I think it's situational. I think it's scheme. He's going to have a big game every once in a while. He's going to have I don't even want to say a bad game, but like a game that doesn't jump out with a lot of production every once in a while.
Is that like a
And
number
I am
two receiver for you,
I'm
though? Are you okay with
choosing
that?
to accept it. If we're winning, I am.
Okay.
There's a lot of places the ball
that's
has
all
to
you
go
care
on
about.
this
That's
offense.
all.
Yeah.
It's all about winning. That's it.
Yeah.
As long as we're winning,
And
it
if
doesn't matter.
I mean, Matt, if I can be real with you for a moment here in front of the
Please.
internet,
We're friends. I hope you're real with me all the
you're
time.
always, I think that when it comes to offensive production, player by player, you're always going to find yourself complaining about someone. You're always going to be like, Gabe Davis isn't getting enough, or then it's Dawson Knox isn't getting enough. If Gabe Davis
Where's
gets enough
Kincaid?
production for you, then you'll be saying Dawson Knox isn't getting enough production for you. If Dawson Knox and Gabe Davis are getting enough production for you, then you're going to be saying Kincaid isn't going to be getting enough for you. There's only so many plays in a game.
You need to be fully satisfied, Tony. I'm sorry. I just want the best out of my team and my players. I want them all to perform great. No, that's a very
maybe
fair
they are
point.
performing
And,
great. The
there's
stats are
not
not
enough snaps and ball to go around. So
Yeah.
it's like Diggs is getting his 12 targets a game, and I get it. That's a very fair point, but I'm just saying a lot of hype preseason. I don't think the production's there yet. I hope it turns around, but it's been a little lackluster for me. That's all I'm saying, Tony. Tony, any other thoughts about this Commanders game before we get into a Dolphins preview and wrap up?
The thing that I want to say, and this relates to what you were talking about with Josh, or with like the way the offense looks. For me, this is, if you ever found yourself saying, because I'm also trying in my personal development here, I'm trying to give a little bit more grace to Ken Dorsey in that he's learning. And I think that he has learned. I think I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him as a play caller this year more than last year. Last year I hated it. But
still like those second and long runs.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that happened. I was going to lose my mind. That happened. So what I'm saying is, I know. So what I'm saying is, when I'm trying to give him a little bit of grace that he's learning, and this was a game that if you ever said during, like when we all hated Daboll years ago, if you ever said the phrase that was going around a lot, and that was "let Josh be Josh," like Daboll has got to let Josh be Josh. We got to let Josh be Josh, and then we'll be good. This was a great game that I think for the let Josh be Josh fans to hate, to maybe like question the look of the offense. Because it seemed to me what it is it's still we're leaning too much on the other skill position players who are probably just like, shrug, decent.
It's a very good cliffhanger, Tony. Looks like you're frozen there. We'll fix that. It's like a Nathan for you skit. Draw stuff right now. Oh, he's coming back in. There we go. You're back. Welcome back.
There we go.
We're back.
All right.
There we go. So you said players look decent, and then you just dropped off, which is a great cliffhanger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the players, these other skill position players, like look decent. They look, I guess, decent, but it's like I feel like Dorsey is like first and second down. We focus on those players. Third down. Okay, well we have to now, so we're gonna let Josh be Josh. I wish we were just letting Josh be Josh on all downs. So there's too much
we can ask for.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So I think that if you're a let Josh be Josh person, or you ever were, this is the moment we have to kind of expand more towards let Josh be Josh, because so much of we can't let Josh. I agree with the sentiment of like it can't all be Josh, but I think that I feel like what it is like, okay, well now it's a third Josh, a third James Cook, and a third either Hardy or Diggs or like some mix, some percentage mix there. And I just want to be like, well, like Cook and Hardy and He-Wolf, I guess, to an extent, like they're fine players, but like, are we willing to let them be as much a part of this offense as Josh is? Because that seems psychotic.
I mean, the ball is in the best player's hands every snap, so
that's what I want.
That.
Yeah. Well, it is, but sometimes it's only for a second before he hands it off to Cook.
Sure. But I'm just saying, Josh always has the ball in his hand, so he's always a threat in some way. The defenses have to account for it. So
that's true. That's a good point. That's true.
It opens up a lot of stuff for James Cook and for these other guys. And I'm just, like I said with Gabe Davis, I just want him to exceed here because I think Josh being Josh and letting Josh be Josh opens up a lot of stuff. And
yeah, but are we letting Josh be Josh?
I need other players to meet that.
That's the question that I'm trying to ask you.
I don't know. Who is Josh?
Josh is just a simple man. He's just a simple man. He's just a simple man. He likes going to jewelry stores in Toronto
for his girlfriend.
And a dash of Frank's in his Pepsi. Just a simple man.
Just a simple man with simple needs.
Yep.
Tony, that simple man has a big test this coming week against the Dolphins, who just put up a 70 burger against the Broncos, the lowly Broncos. I'm guessing Russell Wilson wasn't telling Broncos country to ride or anything, because that was an embarrassing performance. But the Dolphins look, after 3 games, like a juggernaut, at least offensively. Are you worried about this game? Let's start there, because I am scared to death.
Yep, I'm scared. I'm worried.
Yep.
I don't like it.
Officially there.
Not in a good place. Not in a good place.
Not in a good place at all. I have said in this podcast before, I really like Mike McDaniels. I think he's a very good offensive mind. I think he has created a system and brought in players that fit that system to a T, and that system is based on speed. One of the antithesis of the Bills, Dolphins run a ton of pre-snap motion. So the defense needs to be on their P's and Q's and communicate, which is going to be interesting with a new guy like Terrell Bernard kind of manning the middle with Poyer and Hyde, who have experience with this, but do look a little slow. It's going to be interesting to see how this Bills defensive unit deals with this powerhouse Miami offense. And last week, when they put up 70 against Denver, they didn't have Jalen Waddle either, which is even more scary. I feel like, and maybe this is a little existential of me, and I'm sure you appreciate it because you appreciate the existential thoughts. I feel like this is, and stick with me here for a sec, the battle for the future of the NFL.
Yes. Okay. Fair.
and how the NFL is played going forward. You have a very offensive-minded system head coach in Mike McDaniel, who is just score a million points and try to keep up with us. We're Usain Bolt, and you are in a 100-meter dash, and we're going to be faster than you. Try to keep up. And on the other side, you have Sean McDermott, a very defensive-minded coach, as we all know. So how this game plays out and who's successful, I feel like, is kind of the way the future of the NFL is going to be shaped. Is like, is it just going to be find the next Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, these great offensive minds, and just speed, put up a lot of points, and don't worry about the defense, that'll fix itself? Or is it going to be, hey, Sean McDermott's a great defensive mind, a la Bill Belichick for his career, scheming against seemingly unstoppable offenses and, you know, throwing them for a loop and whatnot. Like, I feel like this is the battle for the future of the NFL.
So you're saying like offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. But
That's how it's been, right?
Whoever,
Is that
that's
how it's going to
it's
be going
been.
forward?
Right. And that depends on this game. If this game, everyone will be looking for the hot defensive coordinator, the next Sean McDermott at the end of this season, or they'll be looking for the next Mike McDaniel.
Vance Joseph,
yeah.
who's having the time of his life.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I don't think you're over exaggerating at all.
I don't think so either.
I would say that this, I would say that this game, I mean, I do think we'll look back on this game and say like, this was one of the most important games of the season. Like this game was everything in the season, you know?
It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Because if we lose, we're essentially down 3 games.
Yeah.
Because Miami will have 2 games up on us plus the tiebreaker right now. So it is extremely important early in the season. So, but I just feel like at the end of this game, if we lose, I'm going to be like, man, like we just, like their offense is unstoppable. Like we can't play this defensive-minded game. You just got to win a shootout. And I'm scared to death because the last time we saw the Dolphins and the Bills on the field together, Skylar Thompson almost beat us.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought.
I forgot about that.
The Bills were in a different state of mind. You want to forget about it, right? I didn't. But the Bills are in a different mental state, I'm sure, and physical state with all that happened last year. But that was scary. And it translated to the next week against the Bengals where we just got run over. But this Dolphins team seemingly, or it seems like no matter who's in, whether it's Skylar Thompson or Tua, and I think Tua is a pretty good quarterback, or whether Waddle's in or out of the lineup, it just seems to click. And that's what's scary to me the most is the Bills tend to shoot themselves in the foot, and Miami's an offense that you can't shoot yourself in the foot, or they will be sprinting past you faster than you can blink.
I do agree with you that I think we'll be coming back here next week on this show, and we'll be having a long discussion about Bill, you know, how the people who beat the Bills, or like the Bills is who beats the Bills most commonly. We have to play sharp and perfect and mistake free. And it's the only way we're gonna keep up with in a shootout situation, which is what I anticipate.
I also think this is a big test for Josh and his maturation, I guess. I don't think that's the right word, but can Josh handle the weight of the game? You know, this team coming in, putting up 70 points, being 3-0, division rival. Like, the one thing that I guess bothers me about Josh is every time the camera goes to him on the sideline, he's just kind of sitting there. He's like in his thoughts. I just want to see like him after an interception be mad. There was that one where he slammed the helmet, I think, after the Jets, one of the interceptions versus the Jets. But I see other quarterbacks when I watch other games, like talking to their offensive line and talking to the receiver and doing all this stuff. And I'm sure Josh does that, and the camera's not always on him 24/7 during the game. So I get it, but I want to see if Josh can handle the weight of the situation because, like I said, you lose this game, You're essentially down 3 games early in the season. So, will Josh be the Josh we've seen the past 2 weeks? You said let Josh be Josh. The Josh we've seen the past 2 weeks has been, very good. Despite the long punt interception last week, which I have no problem with, and I know a lot of people do, but I don't, because a 50-yard interception is the same thing as a 50-yard punt. It doesn't matter. Momentum's a fallacy. But can Josh handle the situation when things get bad? If he throws an interception, is he going to try to do too much? We've seen Josh try to do too much, like in that Jets game, week 1, trying to fit things in windows only Josh can fit balls into because he has the arm strength too. But it's not always the smartest play. We've seen past 2 weeks kind of a smarter Josh, a more cautious Josh, take what they give you Josh. Are we going to get that Josh, or is it going to be like, man, this is the game I need to go balls to the wall, every hit's a home run kind of offense? I'm very intrigued to see what type of Bills team we see come 4:00 on Sunday after this game.
Same. And like you said, is it going to be Josh Hero Ball? I think largely probably, yeah. And I think what we're going to end up seeing is that it is going to be like a Bills sort of in their own head, sort of the mental game with themselves. And it's not just Josh that has to meet the moment, but it's everyone has to meet the moment. And if they start getting down, my fear is that if we go down, it's going to kind of spiral, and that mental game for us will be, okay, well, now we have to catch up right away because it's going to be 2 offensive things because the Dolphins' offense is too powerful. So we all just have to, like basically hit the panic button and freak out and just score as much. And if we don't score on every play, it's a lost cause, and like we just have to. I think it's going to just evolve.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong. Yeah. I hope it never gets to that, but that's my fear.
I hope so too. I'm very fearful of this game, but the Bills have a great track record against the Dolphins. Josh has a great track record against the Dolphins. According to Wikipedia, some say he owns the Dolphins. So the history is on our side for sure, but this seems like a new beast of a Dolphins team. So it's going to be the same thing. Like, the one thing I worry about defensively is, can the Bills stop the opposing team's best player? We saw in the Raiders game, the first 20 scripted plays, the Raiders come out and just dominate, and Devontae Adams dominates, and it doesn't seem like the Bills have an answer for their best player. And we've seen that in the past with Chiefs and Travis Kelce, and just the Bills seem to have Vikings and Justin Jefferson. The Bills seem to have trouble stopping their best player. Maybe that's by scheme. Maybe just let that best player eat and have the other guys do nothing. We'll see if they can stop Tyreek Hill. He's on a mission for 2,000 yards this year, according to him. So, I mean, it'll be a fun one. I'll be on the edge of my seat, and I know Bills Mafia and viewers will as well. Tony, any other thoughts about the Dolphins before we wrap up our first live episode here?
Nope. Let's wrap it up, baby.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you, of course. Oh no, we got to do our final summer of shunning. Tony, real quick, who are you shunning for our final take on our summer of shunning?
Oh, the summer of shunning. Well, I'm shunning I'm going to get a little meta on you here, Matt. I'm shunning the summer portion of September. Summer ends when August ends. Stop trying to pretend you can go all the way into late September. It's not real.
This weather is telling me different. It's very nice weather.
I know it's going to be really, really summery next week, is my understanding.
Yes.
Whatever. Summer's over. Summer's over when August.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. I have 2 shuns. One being this Buffalo concoction of a drink, because I'm afraid to pour it down my drain, and I think it might burn through the pipes at this rate. My second shun, very simple, no explanation needed. Michigan State Athletics. Stop hiring scumballs and bad people. Okay, simple as that. They fired their football coach for reasons and the gymnastics thing from years past. Like, stop hiring bad people. It's very easy to do background checks on people. So very a hearty final shun to Michigan State athletics. Me being from Ohio State, going to Ohio State, hate Michigan State as it is. So, and anything from Michigan State athletics, you've been shunned. Tony, let's wrap it up. Thank you to our sponsor, Traveling Growler, www.travelinggrowler.com. Quality koozies starting at just $5. Shop local, support local. Travelinggrowler.com. Awesome site, awesome product. We have a little sample for you to view. They're very cool, especially when during the fall, you get the hoodie out and have some drinks on the back patio. Traveling Growler is a great product to do that with. T-shirt store, teespring.com. I'm going to hit the overlay here.
Look at this.
Nice,
Oh.
right? Yeah. Google search Teespring, Witty Not Funny, all one word. Check out our design. I'm wearing my Buffalo Brothers shirt right here. Very cool. All original designs, all fairly cheap. We don't make much money off of it. And you'd be supporting the podcast as well. I forgot you can super chat for future shows. See, we're new to this. We'll get it. We'll get it, people. It's only up from here. It's the first episode. But T-shirt store. We have hoodies. We have long sleeves in there. So check out everything having to do with the podcast and support the podcast today. Let's see if I can get this off now. That's the big question. Dun, 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 dun. We'll figure it out. There we go. And there we go. Perfect. teespring.com or Google search Teespring, Witty Not Funny. Check out the podcast store today. Where to find the podcast will be uploaded on Spotify, YouTube, again, every Thursday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this first episode. I know there's some bumps in the road in the beginning. We got through it. Only up from here, I promise. Hope you had a good time, witty time, a couple laughs in there. Thank you for commenting. Our number one fan, Roy. Shout out to Roy. Number one fan. But thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. Spread the word. Join Witty Nation. Twitter handle @WittySports716. You can see it right at the bottom of the screen there. Make sure to follow us. That's where our best content is, @WittySports716. So give us a follow. We love following back. We love connecting with the Bills Mafia, the Saber Swords people, trademark pending. So connect with us. We love following back. And we always like to say, whether you give us 2 minutes or 2 hours of your time, we really greatly appreciate it. And we really do. We're new to this live thing, and thanks for bearing with us this past first episode here. And like I said, we'll work out the technical difficulties and kinks here, and we'll get better. And I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you come back next week. Tony, do we just do the single send off for the listeners?
I think that's the way to do it.
I think that's only fitting. Listeners, thank you for listening and viewing, and whatever you do to take in this podcast, we really appreciate it. We always like to say, go Bills, and of course, stay witty out there, everyone. Thanks. Peace.
Goodbye, Witty Nation.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Witty Nation. Later.